I can carry the energy or even allow the Sasquatch to look through my eyes. And I taught that as well through the event to different people. And speak through my mouth too. And it's quite easy because they're gentle, they're nice energy, compatible, very, very, what's it called, well-mannered at that level. They wouldn't just etiquette. They wouldn't just push themselves into a person like that. But that's their normal.
Welcome
to another episode.
Driving to the Res.
With your favorite hosts.
Larry.
And Inelia.
That's us.
That's us.
You can find our podcast, our newsletter article, the article we're reading from, and links to the second half of our podcast at drivingtotheres.com.
See you there.
Okay.
Our second hour is actually fascinating because we have a group of people, our panelists, who are all very well versed in many, many subjects, experts in their field. And they bring a new depth to everything we talk about during the first hour. Plus, if you subscribe, and it's only $8 a month, you support us and our work on the planet.
Yep. Chipmunk agrees.
The chipmunk agrees.
Quack, quack, quack.
I don't know if you can hear it, but...
it's just going wild back there.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So there'll be a link in the... newsletter and show notes and things like that. You can probably figure it out. Drivingtotheres.com, you'll figure it out.
Yes.
Okay, this week's article is about a strange event we went to called Olympic Strange Days.
Yeah.
And it was actually touch and go that we would go. It was mostly not go that we were going.
Yeah, because there's so much going on. Plus, I get feeling, no.
You're not really a super public type part. I mean, you do a public job. I mean, we're talking on a podcast of bajillion people, probably 2 bajillion. Here come the chickens. And despite that, going to a public, event thing is like very low on your list of things you like to do with your weekend.
Yes. Plus, you said it was like, we're going to take a tent, and I'm not a tent person.
Yeah, we go camping in a tent.
I go glamping, but not camping.
Yeah, not so much the tenting.
No.
So, I did get a really fancy tent that pops out. That's purple, even. Cots and the whole 9 yards. I was even going to get us a stove for in there. But I figured out at some point, let's just take our camper.
Yes. So that was a yes for me.
That helped.
Yeah. That helped.
Yes.
But then suddenly everything changed and it was, let's go.
Yeah, it changed dramatically. It was a lot of things changed. I noticed that, especially with you, I don't know about with other people, but when I ask you like, hey, honey, do you want to XYZ something? I pretty much know the answer is probably going to be no.
Really?
About some of the things, yeah.
It's like what?
Like you want to go to a camping in a tent with a whole bunch of people in the woods.
That you don't know.
That you don't know. And maybe do an interview. And
nah.
It's like very low percentage chance of a yes. When I ask those things, and then the instant is no, then I like sit with it for a minute, and I don't just take no means no. Like sometimes I go like, let's figure out how it is so that you could go to this and enjoy it, because I'd really like to go, and I'd really like to go with you.
Yeah.
So we figured out how to.
Plus, then I learned that Ileana was going anyways. Yeah. Her and Mike, so they're awesome people to camp with. Expert campers. They're glamp.
Yeah, they're good. Very well, let's get to reading. Anyway, I notice you'll occasionally just come right out of the blue and say, oh, yes, let's go. And I'm very excited about it. And oftentimes I don't know why.
Some weeks ago, Larry told me of an event being organised by an acquaintance of ours, Tobe. We met Tobe, his girlfriend, and a couple of his friends at the res when they came to visit.
Is it Tobe or Toby?
I've heard that he likes to be called Tobe.
Okay, Tobe it is.
His event is called Olympic Strange Days, and it was organised by Tobe and to be held at a remote location near Olympia.
Oh.
Well, that's
hold it up a little bit for you.
Yeah. At first, I did not like the idea of going.
Yeah, I know.
It was going to be rough tent camping. I'm not much of a tent camper. But at some point, felt to...
Did you tell your dog to go to work instead of barking chickens?
Baby!
Get over
barking.
Here. Leave the chickens alone. Come on.
It's going to work, baby. We need to do some
There's something barking down the street, too. You hear that down that way? I heard the dog bark.
A dog bark?
Yeah. Wild.
Maybe put her inside.
All right. You can go to work in the house.
Well, with regards to what's behind us, it's 10 acres of forest. It belongs to us. And last night I was out in the balcony looking and listening, and I heard some noises there, and I could feel a presence over there. And this morning I decided to go visit to see if there was any pyramids or any sigils or anything like that. Nice, cool stuff.
Something obvious.
Yeah, but I didn't find anything.
I did find something right at the bottom of our driveway. I'll show you.
Okay.
It's a tree break across the road. That's been there for. What was there yesterday and the day before, fully covered with leaves. But now it has no leaves, no branches, but it's exactly perfectly placed.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's worth looking. You'll see.
Yeah. Anyways, his event is called Olympia Strange Days, and it was organized by Tobe to be held at a remote location near Olympia. At first, I did not like the idea of going. It was going to be a rough tent camping, and I'm not much of a tent camper. But at some point, it felt good to go. We decided to take our truck camper and plan the trip without driving to the race panelist Ileana Rojero and her husband. When I say plan the trip, it meant we are going to go there, and so she and her husband. Our plans became to come next to them. Brilliant, I must say.
It's not much to planning that. It's just, okay, let's camp next to them. Yes. Oh, figured out. It's sorted.
Everything's sorted.
Yeah, okay.
We had strangeness happening for 2 straight weeks before the event. Not so much in the UFO or Sasquatch themes, which the event would cover, but in the life is happening fast areas.
Yeah, it came from all angles.
It did.
In good ways.
Yeah.
But, surprising ones.
Yeah. Back to the event. As soon as it started to feel good to go there, Larry got the camper ready and scheduled our other work around it. He wasn't sure why I had changed my mind, and neither was I. I don't often get information about why things happen.
That's what I was like, oh, we're going? And you're going? Yeah. And you want
So some of the Nico language that I have is I feel sick or uncomfortable about things.
Yeah.
And then I have to look and, change or tweak things all around until it feels good.
Okay.
One of the strange things was that when we set off, the map said it was 3 hours away. We could push it to 4 because the last bit was pretty bad.
Yeah, we had intended to arrive on Monday. This is Friday.
Oh, then, even before that.
Yeah, and then we intended
No, we didn't intend to arrive on Monday. We were going to go on Monday.
Look on Monday.
Yeah, we were going to go visit, look, see who was going to be there, because some people were going to be there, and it was going to be awesome, and we wanted to check and see that,
set up a spot and get a place picked. We were going to do all these things.
On Monday.
On Monday, and then on Tuesday instead, because Monday comes out.
And then Monday and Tuesday were filled with other stuff.
And so we didn't do it on Wednesday because we have that filled already too.
Yes.
And Thursday is the day that you're supposed to show up.
Right.
I think we did show up on Thursday.
We did.
So Thursday
we were supposed to go
at 5 o'clock. We woke up.
We were going to go.
Yeah, we're going to go early because 3 hours gets us there around 8.
Yeah, we're going to meet Ileana and her hubby on the way.
We're going to be at the store we're supposed to meet up at 8 in the morning or 9 in the morning and then drive up together. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we left at noon.
Yes. We left at noon, thinking we'd be there at 4.
Yeah. Still in time for the event, still in time for when things start. I mean, most everybody else is just getting there and getting sorted and setting up their tents and things. So we're a little bit behind schedule, but not terribly so.
Yeah.
I mean, a week behind, but only a few hours by the day. Well,
so we set up at noon from the house.
Yeah. We got there at 9
p.m. It took us 9 hours. It took us 6 hours to get to Squim, and we go to Squim all the time. It takes 2 hours to get to Squim.
It's a 2-hour drive.
2-hour drive. It took us
6.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, we did a few stops. We did stop at the tractor store to watch the new puppy. We stopped at the usual store to get some food for the trip.
Normal stuff.
The normal stuff.
Go get some bread. Go get some sandwich meat. Go get some orange juice.
Not a big deal. Not large.
Let's go shopping and check every aisle for what's the possibilities.
No, we were quite
and then
fast.
sit there in the corner and have an espresso at wherever and look for aliens for an hour. No, it was go shopping and get the stuff and go.
Yeah.
Very fast.
Where else do we stop? I was the Shaman Shack for a little while when we set off. We came back home, then back to the Shaman Shack.
That added a little bit, but everything the half an hour. If you add up all the half hours, you're talking about an hour and a half.
Maybe, yeah.
2 on the outside.
Maybe. So that would make it like 6 hours altogether to get to the event place. No.
5 hours, at least 4 hours unaccounted for.
Yeah. So anyways, that was weird.
Yeah. Anyway, you look at it. You can skip to here.
Okay.
Anyway, you look at it. It's not 9 hours to get there. I wonder how long it took Ileana and Mike. Because it was supposed to take an hour and a half from their house.
Yeah, I think it took them a little bit longer
2 hours,
because the
half
potholes,
hour. A little bit of road.
Yeah.
Right here.
It does not equal 9 hours. It took us 6 hours to get to Squim, which we go all the time. It's 2 hours away from Squim. The map said it was 1.5 hours to the event location. It took us 3 from Squim.
Anyway.
On the way, I did my family tradition of letting the areas and their caretakers know we're coming or driving through, who we are, what we're doing there, and how long we plan to stay. When it comes to Sasquatch events, I find that the speakers and some participants bring their Sasquatch with them. For this event, I could feel the local Sasquatch. They were more numerous than the tribes where we live at, and also it felt like they were more influential somehow. I also felt the awareness of Sasquatch that were connected to the different people who were at the event.
So it's like here you say the participants bring their Sasquatch. What do you mean by that?
So there's some people who were there. I mean, there was more than just Sasquatch people there. There were some UFO people, some RV people, remote viewing, and some other things, spirits and ghosts and stuff like that also. But the people who were connected with the Sasquatch, quite strongly connected with them, it felt like they were bringing their Sasquatch with them. That's how it felt. And that's quite common. Every time we go to a Sasquatch event, I feel the other tribes of Sasquatch that belong to the speakers usually, or other people in the audience who have very big connections with Sasquatch to be there too.
It's almost like the tribes meet together through the people.
I didn't know it was through the people because I have felt them physically in areas in other events. But this time, definitely, it felt like it was through the people.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because if you think about it, like the Sasquatch tribes are, can communicate with each other, but how do they like meet the ones that people interested or people connected, or how do you like ping the other tribes like, hey, who's over in Florida? Hey, anybody over in Yakima? I mean, how do you like find the trees and forest?
I think they do it quite easily, but not regularly. It's not that interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was more to do with the fact that it was interesting for them. They love the people watch, so. Right, but it seems like these tribes that are connected to people, not all tribes are connected to people.
Correct.
And these people are connected to each other, going to specific events where they're connecting like consciously and purposely with other people interested in this thing, right? Mm-hmm. So these Sasquatches are connected with those Sasquatches that have also got people interests and interesting people attached to them. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of a way to find each other. Yeah. I believe it's been said more than once that some of the tribes of Sasquatch are like very people averse. It's like, don't want any connection, right? Any whatsoever. Other ones more curious, and some of them teenagers who are just naturally curious, and some children. So I think it's an interesting concept.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We arrive at the end of bits of a large and very windy storm.
Remember we were driving? I was like, man, it's really windy, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. But also, Larry, like when we were like hours away still and we hadn't made much headway and we're still hours driving and whatever, Larry at some point said, we're going to miss all the
We're going to miss the interesting stuff for today.
And I said, don't worry about it. It's not going to start until we get there.
It's like, okay.
Yeah. We didn't know how.
Sometimes I just settled into it.
A big storm.
It turned out it was a giant storm up there, and the wind was blowing all the tents away, and getting set up was a terrible.
Yeah, some of the tents got
Everybody was set up, and then they moved places, and everything kind of got canceled because it got rained out. It was misery.
Yeah. Elena and Mike had set up a fantastic campsite for us. I sat by the truck in a camping chair, wrapped up in a blanket, and looked up the sky. Okay, I'm here. What am I supposed to do now? Just enjoy the event? I asked. Be visible, the guidance came in and told me. My thoughts were, what? Really? Being visible is the last thing on my list of comfortable and desirable things for me to do. I prefer to observe, sit and watch and listen. But I stepped out of my comfort zone and started visiting with people and chatting. Larry and Ileana were very surprised that I would go off without them to the group campfire to talk to and meet people. A regular social butterfly, Larry called me.
We're eating, and she's like, okay, I'm going to go early and go meet with the people and talk with them and visit. Like, what?
We came away with some wonderful connections and met some amazing people.
Yeah.
Penny, Barb, Rich, and Simeon.
Simeon, Dr. Simeon.
Yeah.
Dr. Hine.
They're very interesting people.
Very interesting people.
Yeah. Dr. Simeon taught everyone his version of remote viewing called Resonance Viewing. It was a great exercise and had a good learnings from it. It's awesome stuff.
Did you notice the resistances to the training? Like in the opening the portal and freezing our butts off.
I know. Those were resistances. I think they were side effects.
Well, people were like very resistant to, I don't want to do it now. And then the next day, I don't want to do it now because of this. And
it'd be half the people left to
people were
go somewhere. Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I was talking about.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I hadn't noticed, but now that you mention it. When I think of connections, especially with Penny and Barb, it feels to me that a great big world of possibilities and Sasquatch awareness is ready for us to explore together. A new puppy, Chinook, became the camp puppy, and we're going to talk about him next week.
Yeah.
And it was loved and cared for by many of the participants.
Only mildly interruptible. I mean, he only interrupted mildly.
Very mildly.
For a 10-week-old puppy on his first trip.
He was amazing.
He was remarkable.
I look forward to talk more about this experience on our podcast, Driving to the Rest.
That's this?
Yes. And get some in-depth exploration. I mean, the second hour.
Oh. We're here. Talk about it.
Here. Yeah, my second hour. And get some in-depth exploration about what happened during our stay there from the panelists, especially Diana, who was there too. We have also a few pictures of stick messages, plasters, some trackways, and did some cloud busting, and got signs from a recently deceased friend of Tobe's. All in all, a very enjoyable and I guess only strange to some events, seem perfectly normal to us. But Olympic normal days would not have had such a good ring to it.
Yeah.
Because, it was pretty much normal, everything that happened and everything we did, everything we explored and talked about. It's like Tuesday for us here at the Olympic Peninsula's group, you know?
Yeah, but it was called Olympic Strange Days. Like, we go to the Shamachak and we do some remote viewing. We connect with Sasquatch tribes all the time.
Yes.
We connect with non-physical entities
in
one form or another.
ETs also.
ETs, and, we have campfires.
We do.
Not all the time,
not all the time.
On occasion.
Mm-hmm.
And we camp out there in our backyard. Never, but
we don't camp out.
Not very much. So I guess I could say that's strange.
Yeah, it's strange for us to camp out with a whole bunch of people.
Yeah, that was the strange part. Not the things that we did. So one of the things I want to ask you about was the resonance viewing.
Yes.
First off, the thing that I found initially interesting was that it felt like when we went to this event that it was a Sasquatch-centered type of thing, you know, because the organizer, Tobe, he's one of the producers of, I believe it's his role anyway, of the documentary Flash of Beauty, where they basically interview a whole bunch of experiencers or people who are doing research or have had experiences with Sasquatches, basically. And it delves into a bit more of the paranormal of the experiences, and, you know, they don't really have blinders to the other things that start to happen around that. Right. And so to find a remote viewer, residence viewer, PhD scientist fella at the Sasquatch event, it was like, well, that's unusual. What did you think?
Well, yeah, plus the poster for it was a Sasquatch.
Right. And the sweatshirt, all Sasquatch.
Also Sasquatch. So it was different. I did think it was going to be more Sasquatch-centric. And I think that Simeon tried his best to link the two, which I thought was very professional. Linking Sasquatch with his resonance viewing. The resonance viewing explanations I found to be really cool, very resonant.
Well, it's nice to have someone who has vast amount of background and experience and ability.
Yeah.
And, you know, the analytic mind that makes you a PhD person, you have to be able to take in, I think, lots of data, right?
Yeah.
And then he went and got the trainings, yeah.
Yeah, and then the exercise that we did as a group was very interesting also. I do have some feedback for him as a communications expert, if he wants it. But he did a fabulous job, I felt, without having ever done a group exercise like this before.
Yeah, I want to invite him to the Shaman Shack to give us another, like a weekend of that.
Yeah, I wonder how much he charged for the...
Yeah, I wonder. He had to cut short his presentation. He had a nice PowerPoint. Yeah. I think that's what they call it in the past, but now it's just like a computer screen. Slideshow. And he had to speed it up towards the end because we're
getting so cold,
camping, and we're in the woods, and
he did mention portals, and
he mentioned something about portals, and all of a sudden it was about 20 or 30 degrees too cold to sit there.
Yeah, it got very cold very quickly.
Yeah,
I kind of had a feeling, like one of those knowing feelings and free feelings. So I had actually grabbed my blankie and everything I sent you to get it. I can't remember, but it's like I knew that I was going to need a lot of warmth, and actually we sat next to the fireplace that they
right
had
on top of it.
Right on top of it.
Yeah. So but it was still friggin' freezing.
It was. It got really cold because the portal got opened. So that was really interesting.
It was refreshing to have something not necessarily Sasquatch-centric at a Sasquatch retreat anyway.
What I found interesting from my perspective is to be asked to be visible. And then when the request came to share, I had already checked to see, okay, so like to the Sasquatch Collective, I asked them if you want me to share any of our experiences stories that we've had. They have been encouraging me for Larry and I to write a book around all of our encounters with them. Some of them are tiny little things, like we were in the woods and we found a footprint, or, you know, but some of them can be quite big. I mean, physical, in the house with Sasquatch kind of experiences. And they chose 2, which to me were fascinating and interesting. And I couldn't figure out why those 2. It actually surprised me quite a lot that it was those 2.
For the context, we were sitting around the fire in the morning, and Barb Shoop, who's an experiencer. If you haven't seen any of Barb Shoop stuff, you should probably check it out. Yeah. She does an interview on the Flash of Beauty. I think she's also in the Flash of Beauty documentary, sharing her experience. I mean, it's hilarious. She's like, her first introduction to the little Sasquatch is as there was a chimpanzee jumping around the trees around the back of her house. It's like, and a little ball of fur landed on her roof and then landed on the ground and then took off running. It's like, what are chimpanzees doing around here? Yeah. And then she's out on her road, and you see a giant herd of elk running across, like, wow, this is really great. Look at these elk. And then there's a gorilla chasing them. comes a gorilla get in the woods chasing an elk. It was quite funny. Which, clearly those aren't gorillas and chimpanzees, but they're not bears either.
No.
So her story is pretty fascinating. So she told her story, and then she asked everyone around the fire to share if they had any experiences, so far at the event that they would like to share. Right? And I shared my experience, which basically was a stick glyph. So I went and took the puppy for a walk to the lake behind our camper. We didn't even know there was a lake behind our camper.
No, we didn't.
Scrambled off the trees or these rock thingies and followed a little elk trail and got all the way to the lake, and I didn't see anything. Nothing. I was like, that's really odd. We played with the puppy for a little while to the lake, and then I settled into the area. I kind of felt, instead of like outside observing in it, I just became in it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Connect with the space and the puppy and change my mood, I guess. You can think of your mood from like not skeptic, but again, a little bit separate from this place to, oh, what a lovely little puppy, and I love this puppy so much, and this puppy is such a pretty little puppy, and look at this beautiful place. It's so interesting. Different state of mind and being. And from that state, I opened my eyes and I looked, and where I was standing, there's a glyph right freaking there. Over, under, in the triangles with a pointer pointing up to our campsite. Oh my and then follow it goes to another glyph. And I follow it goes to another glyph. There's 3 of them on the path.
Nice.
I couldn't even see them.
Wow. Yeah.
But after I shared my story, I went around the fire a little bit more, and I had noticed a complete, distinct lack of you sharing any stories. And we got to one guy who started telling stories about himself in kindergarten. Which upset everybody, because he'd started by telling him stories about himself in 4th grade. And when people started whining about that, he said, well, in the 3rd grade. And then when they whined more about that, he went to kindergarten. So at some point he was like, taking this conversation so far off track. Although it was hilarious, it was also distractive. Yeah. At the end of that, I said, well, Inelia has a story. This here, I did it like this too. With my hands. She has a story she would like to share. Yeah, and they couldn't. They didn't hear me.
They didn't hear you at all. He was.
It was only loud. A fire with 15 people, 10 people around. Yeah, like,
and he was loud. Miss it. Yeah, they didn't hear him, see him, nothing, and I laughed.
Yeah, I laughed too. Like, my God, I guess I don't want to hear it. Okay. But then you took their voice or something.
So one of the things that I guess as communication skills or whatever, so I don't know what it is exactly, and I've seen other people do this. I can carry the energy or even allow the Sasquatch to look through my eyes, and I taught that as well through the event to different people. And speak through my mouth too. And it's quite easy because they're gentle, they're nice energy, compatible, very, very, well-mannered at that level. They wouldn't just etiquette. They wouldn't just push themselves into a person like that. But that's their normal. That's how they communicate with each other. That's how they experience life with each other. Now, I'm teetering on the edge of romanticizing the Sasquatch as a superior species. I'm not trying to do that. They're not superior in any way. They're just different. Okay?
Okay, well, they are superior in some ways.
So are we superior in some ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't discount their superiority and their ability to withstand the cold air.
So anyways.
They're fast.
I said I wanted to share an experience, and I shared the experience of tapping in and what I perceived of the tribe, the Sasquatch tribe that's there, right?
It seemed like you took their voice or something.
So...
It was like all of a sudden everybody heard you, like...
Yeah, it was very, very different. I didn't speak any louder than Larry, and I was sitting right next to him. But when their voice came through... Everybody in the camp got quiet.
They get quiet
instantly.
And snap to attention almost.
Yes.
It's like...
Yeah.
And then
Barb said, yeah.
Yes, please. Very much so. Thank you.
Yeah. And then I said, and I'd like to ask permission to share something that didn't happen in this camp, but I think will bring some clarity with regards to what people are calling the predator effect, which is just the shimmering. Like you can see a shimmering moving about.
Right.
Right. And so I told a story, a personal story that I had when they put a shimmer on me so that Larry couldn't see me and our friend Hopi either.
Yeah, it happened twice.
Yeah. So that was, I thought that would bring clarity about the skill.
Why it's so hard sometimes to see them, you know? Because you could be looking at them and not see them.
Exactly.
And they could be right there and you can feel their presence. You can even sense it or smell it sometimes. And you can't see anything.
Right. So I wanted to bring that information because with the people who are exploring this topic and have a lot of data around it, this bit of information might bring some more clarity about the theories behind how they do it. Right?
Yeah.
So I shared that. I mean, some people got it and they understood and they'd like lots to think about and add it to their database of information so that they can analyze it and put the dots together. And some people just went over their head and it's like, no, we don't believe it. Or I don't know, they never really said no, don't believe it. No. But it's like they didn't hear what was being said, in my opinion. They still held on to their going in and out of our dimension and stuff, which is not what they're doing. So, if we look at dimensions with regards as just ability to perceive that we have, the band of perception that we have, and that can be one dimension, and another band that we can't perceive could be another dimension, then yes, they move from one dimension to another through perception of what we can perceive. Anyways. And then the other story was one where they arrived at the shaman shack and they were inside the shaman shack. Yeah. And they had a sick baby and they wanted help with it because it wasn't, as far as like the words they used, was a human sickness.
Yeah, it was when the human sickness was being like broadcast all over the planet also.
So that was interesting that they chose those two stories to share with this particular group. And it was like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, those stories were impactful. Everyone really enjoyed them, actually. I mean, it was impactful. They enjoyed them, and they, even brought some of the guys into tears.
Yeah, it was
which is a bit surprising to me.
But
they are very empathic and connected to their Sasquatch.
Yeah.
And they felt it, you know?
Yeah.
So, excellent stories.
Yeah.
You also met an orb photographer, Penny. Yeah, Penny. She has so many cool orb pictures.
She does. Yeah. Some of them turn into Sasquatch in the photographs as well. So it's really cool.
Yeah, really cool. She sent us her book.
Yes.
Which, thank you, Penny.
Thank you.
Quite fascinating. Orbs are an interesting thing to think about, especially in regards to like Sasquatches and things like that. It's like how and why are sometimes they connected to you're seeing Sasquatches and orbs are showing up. Mm-hmm. Well, that's the same question as why when you're seeing or connecting with Sasquatches do you start seeing UFOs and they start showing up, or aliens or spirits or other things outside your normal, I guess, band of perception and normal world, which I think is what Tobe's trying to call strange. Mm-hmm. Everything outside the normal band of perception.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Which I asked you specifically, black and white question. What the heck is it? How come Sasquatches and UFOs get connected? I mean, why? Why is it when you see Sasquatch, you see UFOs sometimes now? I mean, I have shirts now and a hat. Has a UFO with a little beam sucking up Sasquatch. And I remember you answered, and it made so much sense to me.
Yes.
I mean, the answer basically is the answer for everything. Mm-hmm. Everything. All of the questions you have. But I really think that we should save it for the second hour.
We will.
Because that answer is something you got to earn.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, you have to have some dedication and commitment for this answer.
You can wonder all you want, and you can find the answer. The answer is findable. I'm not saying you have to pay for the answer, but you got to earn it. And you got to earn it. You can ask in our forum.
I'm wondering if any of the panelists remember the answer because they are familiar with it.
I'm wondering too.
Yeah, that'll be nice to see.
It was one of the presentations actually at the fire. One of the fellows who was a policeman in La Push and had a serious encounter with Sasquatch, and serious in the sense of based on his job, you have presets about risks and dangers and compliances and things like that. So he was a bit overwhelmed with the fear and powerlessness
for a while.
Side of it for quite a while. First time we've seen him a few years ago, he kind of gave up. It's like, I'm not going to do this anymore. This is just not
good. It was really nice to see him again and see that he was over it,
He was so over it. And he said, nothing can happen to you without your agreement.
Yeah, no, those words, but that's what he says. You have to, I can't remember the words he used, but it was like, for something to happen to you,
you have a choice.
You have a choice, something like that.
Either way, I was like, wow, over the moon happy to hear it. It's like, he's made amazing progress. Yeah, it's excellent. Anyway, we can answer that question in the second hour. We'll check in with our panelists, see if they either remember it or can figure it out. It's going to be fun. So let's see you there
in a few minutes. Little trail.
Kind of a trail. It's really just like
little clearing.
Less bushy.
Yes, yeah.
It's more less bushy than actual trail, but it still felt like trail, right? So if you look really hard, you couldn't see it. But if you phase your focus out a little bit and just go, then you can see it. There's like maybe, and it's across this rock piles and over this other stuff. And it's like, am I on a trail? I sure hope I can find my way back. Oh, we'll be fine.